In the heart of the vast savanna, nestled between rolling hills and a mighty river, lay Ndimu village. It was a place where the air smelled of roasted maize, the chatter of traders filled the marketplace, and traditions ran as deep as the roots of the ancient baobab tree. One evening, a woman named Naik arrived in Ndimu, carrying nothing but a small bag and an unshakable determination in her eyes. She had left the bustling city behind, seeking a fresh start and a purpose that burned fiercely in her soul. With the little money she had, she rented a rundown stall near the market and transformed it into a modest eatery. She called it Naik's Delight. At first, few people took notice of her shop. The villagers were wary of outsiders, and they already had their favorite food vendors. But slowly, whispers of her stew began to spread through the village. It was unlike anything they had ever tasted, rich, aromatic, and deeply satisfying. The flavor lingered on their tongues, pulling them back for more. "This stew is like magic," an old man exclaimed after his first taste. "I have never eaten anything like this before," agreed a young mother, licking her fingers. "Naik, what is your secret?" Naik would only smile. "It is love," she would say, "and a pinch of something special." Within days, crowds gathered at her eatery, eager to get a taste of her famous stew. The other food vendors in Ndimu, particularly Mama Chidi, a woman who had been serving meals in the village for over 2 decades, began losing customers. "This is not normal," Mama Chidi told her friend Zuba one evening. "How can one woman's stew suddenly outshine all of us?" Zuba, ever the curious one, decided to investigate. She visited Naik's eatery daily, watching her cook and searching for clues. But nothing seemed unusual. Naik used fresh vegetables, meat, and spices, nothing out of the ordinary. Then one night, as the moon bathed the village in silver light, Zuba decided to follow Naik home. She trailed behind her, keeping to the shadows as Naik entered her small hut. Through a crack in the wooden window, Zuba watched in horror as Naik removed a small clay pot from a hidden compartment in the floor. She carefully opened it, and from within, she poured a thick, dark red liquid into a bowl. Zuba's heart pounded. What kind of ingredient was this? The next morning, Zuba returned to Mama Chidi, her face pale. "Naik is using something strange in her stew," she whispered. "What did you see?" Mama Chidi pressed. "I don't know exactly," Zuba admitted. "But it was dark and thick, like blood." Mama Chidi and Zuba knew they had to find out the truth. That night, while Naik was at her eatery, they crept into her hut. Beneath the floor, they found the clay pot and opened it. The stench that rose from it made them gag. It was blood, thick and pungent. But this was no ordinary blood. Carved onto the side of the pot were markings, symbols of the ancient river spirits, feared across the land. Legend spoke of people who made pacts with these spirits, binding others to them through enchanted meals. Whoever ate from such a meal would forever crave it, unable to resist returning for more. Horrified, they replaced the pot and ran to the village elders. The next morning, as Naik was serving her stew, the elders stormed into her eatery. "Naik, you have deceived us," the chief declared. "You have bewitched our people with forbidden magic." Naik's face remained calm. "I only did what I had to do," she said softly. "This village took something from me, and I wanted it to feel my pain." She revealed her secret. Years ago, her mother had fallen in love with a man from Ndimu, but his family had rejected her because she was an outsider. She had died in sorrow, abandoned and alone. "I swore I would return," Naik whispered, "and make this village bow to me." The villagers recoiled in horror. The elders ordered that her eatery be burned, and Naik was banished from Ndimu forever. She left without a word, disappearing into the horizon like a shadow at dusk. From that day on, no one spoke of Naik's Delight. But even years later, Some swore that on certain nights, when the wind howled through the village, they could still smell the rich aroma of her cursed stew lingering in the air. Nayak wandered far beyond the lands she once knew, seeking a place where her name carried no whispers of dread. She settled in a distant village, where she lived in obscurity, crafting meals that bore no traces of the power she once wielded. But deep inside, she knew the past was not done with her. The spirits of her ancestors called to her in dreams, urging her to complete the cycle she had started. Would she bury her vengeance or let it consume her completely? Back in Kolochi, rumors of Nayak's past began to spread beyond the village. Travelers carried tales of the woman whose food held unnatural power, and soon, a wandering priest named Maloa took interest. He had spent his life tracking those who meddled with forces beyond their control, and he vowed to uncover the truth about Nayak. Armed with sacred knowledge and a sense of righteousness, he made his way to Kolochi, determined to purge the village of its lingering curse. Maloa's search led him to the people who once dined at Nayak's restaurant. Though they spoke of her stew with longing, many admitted to experiencing strange dreams and an unshakable desire for more. Maloa understood that magic still bound them to her, even in her absence. He traced her steps, questioning those who had seen her leave, and after weeks of searching, he arrived at the village where she had taken refuge. He found her stirring a pot over a quiet fire, unaware that her past had finally caught up to her. Nayak sensed Maloa's presence before she saw him. She knew he was no ordinary traveler. When their eyes met, he spoke of justice, of the unnatural hunger she had cultivated, and of the spirits unsettled by her deeds. Nayak did not resist when he declared she would stand trial before the elders of the land. She had always known her actions would bring consequences. But she also knew that magic, once sown into the world, could never be undone so easily. The elders gathered under the ancient baobab tree, their faces carved with wisdom and age. Maloa laid bare the tale of Nayak's deeds, but she did not deny them. Instead, she told her own story, the story of a mother betrayed, of a village that had once condemned her family, and of a justice she had claimed in the only way she knew. The elders listened, and as they debated, the spirits themselves stirred in the wind, whispering a fate only they could decide. The elders did not order Nayak's execution, nor did they exonerate her. Instead, they gave her a choice: exile forever, stripped of her magic, or a ritual cleansing that would bind her power and return balance to the village she had cursed. If she chose exile, she would never be able to use her gifts again. If she chose the ritual, she would have to return to Kolochi and face the people who had unknowingly dined on her vengeance. As the fire crackled before her, Nayak made her decision. Nayak walked through the streets of Kolochi once more, the weight of her past pressing upon her shoulders. The villagers watched her with weary eyes, some still longing for the taste of her stew, others sickened by the truth of what they had consumed. Maloa stood by her side as she prepared the ritual, a final act of magic that would sever the unnatural bond between her and those she had enchanted. As she cast the sacred herbs into the flames, the wind howled, and the spirits whispered their approval. With the ritual complete, Nayak felt the power leave her, fading like a dying ember. The villagers, now free of their unseen chains, turned away from her, not with hatred, but with a quiet, solemn acceptance. She would never be one of them, but she had paid the price for her sins. As the sun rose over Kolochi, Nayak walked away from the only home she had ever known, uncertain of where the road would lead her next. But for the first time in her life, she was free. Thank you for joining us on this magical journey through the heart of the village. We hope this story has shown you the beauty and mystery that can be found in everyday life. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this tale with your friends. Who knows what other secrets we will uncover in the next adventure?